It's time for Measure Twice.
Welcome to Measure Twice. I'm Rob Perugini, along with Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors and Joel Graber from Graber Custom Remodeling. This is the show that helps you envision your home's potential, and you're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC. We are brought to you in part by Leatherman Supply. Everything windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops, and more, with the showroom right now in Granger, right next to C. Kramer Interiors. And Hoosier Hardwood Floors, Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. You could visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. And do you feel a disturbance in the force, Joel?
Yes. It's a very positive disturbance here.
There's a light stormtrooper background, like dun, 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 dun. I don't know what's going on. Chris, you feel it, right?
Yeah. There's a disturbance in the force.
That's right. And it's Todd Zeiger from Indiana Landmarks, who's the director of the Northern Regional Office of Indiana Landmarks. Todd, thanks for being here today as our guest.
Hello. I'm always glad to be here and be a disturbance in the force.
Yes. Now, you can stop hanging upside down from the speaker bars and get to sit in your chair. No,
but if I only could.
You are a dynamic guy. That's why I was like, You're both Batman and Robin when it comes to that.
Some days it does feel like that. That's true. Yes. Glad to be here. Thanks.
Todd's with Indiana Landmarks, so if you see a cool old house, Todd already knows about it.
Yeah.
Sadly, that's probably very true. How many times that happens? Like, oh, yeah, I know that house, and I talk to them about it. I'm like, how do you know that? I'm like, I've stalked your house for years. It's fine.
Yeah. It's like,
It's not you, it's your house.
It's not you. Yeah, no, it's your house.
It's like Todd and the fire chief in all these small towns know all the old houses. That's
true. Yeah. Absolutely. That's the fun part, right?
It is pretty remarkable, though, and you just randomly bring up a house and you're like, oh, I've been watching that in years, and then you know about it, though. It's not like he knows that it's there, right? It's like he also knows about it. Yeah. Like, what is about that house?
Yeah, it comes from a lot of time being around, and obviously if they're historic houses, they've been there for a while too, so kind of learn about them over the years. Absolutely.
I don't know how you find time to do it with the projects that you're on, because they're not projects that you can't be at and focused on. Yeah,
that's true. You hire good folks and let them do their job and show up and cause trouble later on. So it's good. And
okay, all right, that's a good plan.
Right.
That's for all you budding business people out there. That's how you operate a business.
It does take management, but it's good if you enjoy what you do, which I do, and I'm blessed to have done it my whole career. So and thankful for our board of directors. Landmarks gives us the flexibility and the opportunity to do those many projects, and so I'll take that busyness and that any day over not being able to do the project. So
yeah. How do you find the houses? How do you just know, or do you just know the neighborhood?
Do you find them, or do they find you?
Both. I was just asked that this week by one of my interns. He's like, "How do you find your projects?" It really comes both directions. It comes from folks who call and they're aware of a property or a house or a building in their town that they're concerned about, or they've heard something and they want to figure out what to do with it. So that's primarily how we like to be involved, and that is working with folks in their communities and build their capacity and help them out. So it comes that direction. But it also comes the other direction, where we have buildings that we become aware that they're in danger or there's something going on with them, and then we take the initiative. And I literally do have lists not written down, but there are buildings that are on my list, like, yep, that one's going to be a problem in the future, and just kind of keep an eye on it. And unfortunately, my intuition about that is usually pretty spot on. At some point, it just is going to be an issue. You just learn to look for the signs, and so it comes that direction too. It's like, we should do something about that, or this is going to become a problem. And it does go both ways. So like Landmarks, we have 9 offices around the state, and my colleagues and I, we try and work with local groups and also bring forward projects to save those buildings. And then we just work with folks too. Like, you have an old house, we can get involved and do some technical assistance. Our membership, it's a benefit of membership. We'll do a free consultation on technical assistance for folks. Like, we're talking about windows at Chris's house. How do you do your windows, or where do you find storms, or any technical assistance? We do that sort of thing too. So we're just thankful that our board and our members support us and let us crazy regional folks go out and save buildings.
So I have a question. The northern region, what does that entail?
So the northern office covers basically the northern third of the state. So if you Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan borders down to about Kokomo. And we have a couple sub-offices. It doesn't matter to you all, but we have a couple of smaller offices that help cover that territory. So about 23 counties in the northern state that we...
You go all the way to Kokomo?
Pretty much just north of there, that county just north of Kokomo. So Peru area, yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of territory.
That's where I'm headed right after we're done. I'm going down to Wabash today. So, yeah, it's pretty big. And that's why you have to work with groups and folks that live in their towns. We can't be everywhere and save every building. It just isn't going to work, right? Mm-hmm. And so the only way preservation works is through local folks that are concerned about their community, and we can bring our expertise and capacity to them and help them do that. But there's no way, you can never have enough staff in a statewide group to work in every town. It just isn't, that's totally impossible. So we cover a lot of ground, but we also rely on our affiliates and the not-for-profits that are our partners and our fellow preservationists to do this.
How many of those are there that you deal with?
Oh goodness, my vice president's going to kill me. I should know this number, but we're over 70 official affiliate not-for-profits in the state, and those are closely aligned not-for-profit preservation groups that we work with, affiliates, and then there are others that aren't, but that we still work with. And we have Main Street groups. There's hundreds of not-for-profit groups that are out there between the Main Street groups that work in downtowns and the not-for-profits. Yeah.
We're talking with Todd Zeiger from Indiana Landmarks. He's the director of the Northern Regional Office of Indiana Landmarks, and you do good work. And I think that one of the things that we're in here, we casually talk about what you do. We don't necessarily name you every week, but like those projects are pretty important. And the idea that there are, when you drive through northern Indiana, you pass through towns that are full of these kinds of homes. Like you just cruise through. What were you going to say, Chris?
And it's not necessarily just homes, because I've been on their website, and it's just, I mean, I've seen storefronts, downtown sections of an old building that they're trying to preserve. So it goes beyond just a house.
Yeah, I talk about this with others as well, that if you're in a community or you go on vacation and you go to a city or town, you go to Charleston, you go to Savannah, I mean, pick it wherever you want to go, the historic buildings aren't there by accident. They're there because someone in the past stepped up and said that building mattered, or this neighborhood mattered, or this downtown mattered, and they took steps to make sure that when we go and visit today, or you live there, you can still appreciate those historic buildings, or they would not be there. And so Charleston is not an accident. Savannah is not an accident, where we go to or live, and we try to bring that same thing, of course, to our own communities. That character is important, but it's by work. It's by protection. It's by conversation. It's by people doing projects, and it is all types. And I can name a town. We could talk about a project. It could be a house. It could be a downtown building, because it's all part of that character of the community. Absolutely. Yeah.
How often are you involved with government?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, yeah. In some places,
I have to protect what I say.
Yeah, exactly. This is being recorded, both visual. Both positive and negative. I mean, we have great government groups that we work with in communities, directly with the mayors and their councils and their preservation commissions directly, and they're great advocates and partners, and those are the ones we love working with. And then there are places that it's more of a struggle and a tension about preservation and saving their historic buildings. And so both directions, and it's more enjoyable when it's a partnership and it's pleasurable, but we will also be glad to be advocates and go the other direction and try and persuade a different direction. If you say, if they're going,
it is a sales pitch, right? Because it's hard. Some people automatically see that progress and preservation go hand in hand. They're equal.
Yeah, some folks get that,
and some folks don't get it.
Some folks don't.
Right, and that's just the way it goes.
They come to the preconceived notion that it is either or, and it can be an and.
And it's an and.
It's not either or.
It should be an and.
Yeah, it isn't. Yeah, exactly. And I think this area, it does okay at it. I think I hope.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I think we were in the process of trying to save a building a couple years ago that Todd actually came and looked at with us, but the local government saw no value in it, even though it's the historic point. I mean, it is there. It was there downtown,
Yeah.
and it's gone,
Yeah, that's
which is really sad.
I just went through there the other day. I was up in that area and I drove by, and it hurt.
Yeah.
That one hurt. It was a really it was bad. It needed work. No, total disclaimer. It was bad, and it was one when I looked at it, I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I should be back here. But don't tell our HR department. So it was bad because it was a corner building and it's gone, and it was such a small town. It'll be bad. It'll be bad for the town.
It was a double-digit percentage of what the town was about. Now, when we come back, though, we do have an exciting project. We're talking with Todd Zeiger from Indiana Landmarks. Stay tuned. Big announcement coming up. This is Measure Twice. Welcome back to Measure Twice. I'm Rob Perugini, along with Joel Graber from Graber Custom Remodeling and Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors. This is the show that helps you envision your home's potential, and you're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC. We're brought to you in part by Leatherman Supply, everything windows, cabinets, countertops, and more, with the showroom open in Granger, right next to C. Kramer Interiors. And Hoosier Hardwood Floors, Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. You can visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. It's very special in here today. The lights are a little brighter. The sun's a little warmer because we have Todd Zeiger, Director of the Northern Regional Office of Indiana Landmarks, saving buildings 3 dozen at a time.
That seems like a setup there.
I was going to say, with that sort of an introduction, I'm going to take my my ego pills later on this afternoon. No, thank you for that. It's very kind and unnecessary.
You could hit the YouTube channel to see what happens, behind the scenes. But we were talking off air about the last segment we ended with talking about a building that went away in a town, and it was, it hurts, right? Because that's what you do. And you were kind of recapping that people don't necessarily get it until it's gone. They really don't understand how important, what kind of anchor that was.
Yeah, this isn't my quote, but preservationists are one of the few professions proven right 100% of the time.
Isn't that funny? That's pretty good. Because when you look at revitalization, let me put it this way. You can go to towns generally with a big lake, and you can find the historic part of the lake, and that's where everybody wants to hang out. And then you can find the new part where there's the Pizza Hut, right?
Yeah, you can get a pizza, but
nobody's there.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I mean, they're there for a minute and then they're gone, but they're all hanging out where the roots are, and that's funny. Trees grow where the roots are.
Authenticity brings people back, and they want that connection to the past. And it all sounds very cliche and well, of course you say that, you're a preservationist, but it's true. We go to vacation where there's authenticity. We go to live where there's authentic places. We hang out with our family where there's been roots, and it's a thing. And that's part of our message.
Yeah.
It's about the people. We save buildings, but we save buildings because it brings the character and the history and the connection, the physical connection, folks. But it's about the folks. It's the people. And that's really what drives preservation. It's the people.
And I don't want to... Were you going to say something, Chris? Because I was going to drag you into this for a second, because from a design aspect, because I was going to get abstract. And you're
screaming.
You're going to frown at me in a second because I'm going to get one of those abstract moments. But so you're in design, right? And one of the things I know about you is that Chris understands design in total. So even the design of a town, when we were traveling, you noticed things about the way the town is. And I don't know how else to put it. The way the place is. What it, more than just how it looks, but how it is. And I think that's towns have a design, right?
Well, yeah, they were planned, and then they evolved. I was thinking about this on the way in here this morning. Just thinking about the South Bend. My property was established in 1830. In 1830, this was Michigan territory. This was not Indiana. Indiana decided they wanted more Lake Michigan frontage, so they moved the state line 10 miles north. In 1830, there were 300 residents in this area.
Wow.
So you think 1830, Notre Dame is 1842, South Bend is 1865. So you think about that time period and the evolution of this city and this county, and you can see how, because South Bend was originally west and it migrated east. So that's the historic Washington district. And then I also think South Bend is unique in a lot of ways from other cities, that we have a lot more historic buildings here than a lot of other cities, I think, do. Because it's the housing, we have great districts, more so than I think some other metropolitan areas. So
we have a rich collection of residential districts that have been preserved. Unfortunately, our downtown disappeared by half in the 60s,
right.
But we won't dwell on that. There's
Because Todd wasn't around yet.
Yeah, well, no, Landmarks wasn't for sure, but there were folks that did. It's actually connected because we do have 9 National Register districts in South Bend, and that was a direct reaction to the demolition of our downtown. Like folks said, we don't want this to happen, and so it's a great observation that we do have those districts.
We do, because it's, and unlike other cities, there's a lot here.
There was a lot. Yeah.
We're talking with Todd Zeiger from Indiana Landmarks, and he's here. We have a kind of a cool project, I would say. Not kind of. It's actually pretty neat. There's a house that was moved in South Bend. You've moved houses before. This is not new territory for you. But there are people listening that probably are like, you moved a house? How do you move a house?
He just picked it up.
Yeah, that's how big he is. We're actually outside.
We got a big trailer.
We're broadcasting from the top of the Empire
Really
State Building
big
in a
trailer.
biplane. So tell us a little bit about the project that you're pretty excited to talk about that people could drive by if they want in South Bend.
They can. The Polydor project, actually thinking back to what we were talking about earlier, Polydor is one of those bucket list buildings that I'd had my eyes on for years. It was in downtown near Memorial Hospital on Marion Street. And as Memorial grows and changes, it was the neighborhood around it was pretty much gone. It had disappeared over the years. There was the Polydor house and then one next door. So I kind of had my eyes on it for years. And Ted Polydor had lived there and passed away in 2022. And when he passed away, it's like, okay, now we need to, something has to happen. So the Polydor house was a project, took a little bit to get put together, but it was a house move that we wanted to do proactively rather than reactively, because it's you can do it, but when you have to reactively move a house, it is a fire drill, and it's really hard because just to get the site and the zoning and the permits, I don't walk through all of the things you can imagine you have to do. You can do it, but boy, it's easier if you can have a little bit of time to plan. So we were able to put a deal together, and St. Clair Development owned the property, had bought it, and they donated the house to Indiana Landmarks because they want the ground, and I wanted the house. I'm like, that seems like a deal. And so David St. Clair was great to work with, still is, and he gets the ground, and he gave us the house, and we just had to move. You ever see those advertisements? Free house, you have to move. Yeah, be careful. It's free. So picked it up, moved it. It was a pretty short move, actually, just a few blocks. It's now sitting on the corner of William, or some folks know it as Portage, right where it changes names just to make it convenient. And William and West Navarre and South Bend. It sits on that corner. The preservationists' ultimate revenge bought a parking lot and put a house on it instead of it going the other direction. So that's the second time in my career I've done that. I love that. We moved a house years ago, the Remedy building. We bought a parking lot and put the Remedy on it. And you can drive by. It's on the corner of Navarre and William or Portage. And we filled in a hole in that one of those neighborhoods that Chris was mentioning, the Park Avenue, Chapin Park neighborhood, fantastic neighborhood in South Bend. And it just fits. And I can't tell you how many folks, and I don't say this because, wow, look what I did, pat myself on the back, but it just fits. And one of the great ways to think about as a project successful is how many folks say to you, oh my gosh, they come down Portage, it's on Axis. You just see it when you're coming into South Bend now, and it just looks like
it introduces the neighborhood.
It does.
Yeah.
It holds that corner, and it's a good infill. One of the things when you move a house is you don't want somebody in the future to drive by and go, what the heck did they do?
That's not the case.
Either site-wise or architecturally. Like, you don't want to buy a lot in a 1950s subdivision and put a 1920s arts and crafts house like the Polydor, because then you'd just be having to make up stories about why it's there. So, it's a great house, and I can go on.
And Todd is a great storyteller.
We're going to get into that. We
remember
have two more segments to talk about that. And it's Todd Zeiger, Director of the Northern Regional Office of Indiana Landmarks. That's the velvety voice you're hearing. It's not It's not Mel Torme's house.
Part-time house mover.
And part-time house mover. Moving that, like we could do a whole show, and we probably will later on, maybe of moving, because you have video of the move, right?
Oh, yeah.
Of that logistical, it's like launching the space shuttle. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on there, you know?
Yeah.
But to move the house to the right place, I think you've hit it out of the park. Like to have those things line up is almost supernatural, you know?
Yeah, you know, and again, I always credit our board and management, because they let us run with these things. We bought that parking lot before we had the Polidor House project really sealed up, because it became available. It was like became for sale, and it was like, yeah, there's one place to put this house. It's there, so we bought it, and knowing we were going to probably do the project, but. Yeah, you got to step out on a limb sometimes to do these things, and it is a logistical dance, and we can spend some time talking about that, because it is, if you want stress, let's go ahead, come on down, we'll move a house, because it is fraught with peril that at any one moment anything could go wrong, and then you have a house in the middle of the street and a problem. So, yeah.
Well, for the next segment, we'll talk a little bit about the actual house, because it is not kind of amazing.
It's amazing.
It's remarkable. So we'll describe what the house is coming up in just a minute. This is Measure Twice. Welcome back to Measure Twice. I'm Rob Perugini, along with Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors and Joel Graber from Graber Custom Remodeling. This is the show that helps you envision your home's potential, and you're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC. We're brought to you in part by Leatherman Supply. Everything windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops with the showroom now open in Granger, right next to C. Kramer Interiors. And Hoosier Hardwood Floors, Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. You can visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. And we have very special guests in here today. Todd Zeiger, Director of the Northern Regional Office of Indiana Landmarks, saving homes and taking names.
Not necessarily in that order.
But we're talking about Polidor House. Spell it for us.
Oh, I didn't know there was going to be a test.
Yeah.
Poledor, Polidor.
And that's Greek.
It is Greek.
If you're not,
they were a very, very influential family in town.
And what was the Polidor family known for in town?
It's a great story, actually. Immigrated from Greece. The first generation came into South Bend, opened a candy company in their home, and grew to become one of the best-known candy companies in South Bend up through the 1970s, until the city of South Bend bought their building and tore it down for urban renewal, to bring it back to what we were talking about earlier. And so the Polidors ran the Philadelphia, fantastic candy store in downtown South Bend. Many of my mom's generation and before knew and still know that company, that business, selling candy in downtown South Bend, and multiple generations of that family ran that business in downtown.
Not to put the kid ahead of ourselves, but that candy will be tied to the grand opening or the home, right?
So the fun fact is that we actually were able to connect with the family, which is always great part of any project when we can connect, because they have photos and stories and family history and et cetera. And some of the family is still around. Many of them live up in Canada and California, and some actually came to the move. So we have photos of them during the move coming. They came in to watch it, which was great. Yeah, and some of the family own the recipes from the Philadelphia.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, we've connected with them.
So that's pretty
cool,
cool, huh?
Yeah, that's really special.
Yeah,
it's really, you don't get that when you're. When you're moving a house that was built in 2015. You
don't move houses built in 2015.
They won't do it. They won't make it.
Yeah, they won't make it. There won't be any house moves of 2015 houses. So when you move a house, you got to clean the basement out, because it's going to have giant things like, beams and wheels. And so we had to clean out the house, obviously. And we have menus from the Philadelphia. We have boxes. We have etc. Things that they just left after the auction, and so we have some of that paraphernalia that we'll have out and about during once we get done with the project. And we've been in touch with the family, and we hope to be able to recreate some of the Philadelphia candy. In the future, we'll have a holiday open house for our members in December of this year, and then in the future. So yeah.
So Todd, well, let's get to the house, right? We know where it is, but what is it? What is this house?
Yeah, so preservation is always full of superlatives, so I always am cautious about it. But I will say this is the best arts and crafts in my region, and I would dare anyone to test me on that, and that's fine. It is a fantastic 19 teens arts and crafts house. What makes it unique, and there's others out there, obviously, but what makes this unique is it has not changed since the Polidors moved in 1922. And Ted Polidor moved in as a baby and died as in his 90s and lived there his entire life. And so it just hasn't changed. The only thing that changed in this house was the kitchen and one of the upstairs bathrooms, which was done in 1945, which itself is considered historic. So you just walk in, and it is fantastic. We actually have photos from the family that they took when they moved in from the 20s. And when you just look at it, it's like, oh, hey, put the furniture back, and you're there. Just extensive arts and crafts interior dining room with a coffered ceiling, built-in stained glass, leaded glass windows. It's just all there. And to tie it to moving a house, you're like, why do you move a house? Well, it has to have some reason. Like, you just don't go to this pain and expense, and it has to have merit. And this one certainly hits that, both on the outside and the interior. Just exquisite architecturally. And then just the connection to the family. I mean, the generations of being the Polidors owning that house essentially for its entire existence is a great connection to make it move. And so when folks have an opportunity to come through it in a year or so, they'll see that. And we'll have some photos of the historic, and we've got some family photos and whatnot. But just an exquisite arts and crafts house, both outside and inside.
Chris, what was your impression when we toured the house? What was your first impression?
I want it. No, I was. It was, well. It's like it keeps giving, because you walk up and you look at the front door area with that beautiful tile inlay, then the porch, which has the same beautiful tile. I mean, it's like in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I would do this, 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 and this. Walk in the house, and it's like, wow, it's incredible. I mean, the architectural details in that house are incredible.
Isn't it funny how when we went to market and we looked at Stickley Furniture, because that's arts and crafts furniture,
Craftsman, arts and crafts, tomato tomato.
Craftsman. How it was uniquely similar. I remember I took a picture of the Capitals there, and it was like you could see that in the furniture that is also buried in the teens. It
was all built is all from the same period. So, but. Yeah, just the amount of detail that's in the beautiful woodworking and the dining room. Gosh, the ceiling in the dining room and the stained glass is just gorgeous. I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful. And what's interesting, those columns that are in there have that architectural detail that I've not seen before in Craftsman. I think you have a picture.
I have
pictures of it.
Yeah,
and I mean, just those little details. It's just a beautiful, beautiful home.
I couldn't help but think that they were like an homage to the way the house is built and designed. Like that unique, like kind of these, everything it looked like a description of how this house was built in a column.
And they respected the architectural elements through the years. They didn't paint the trim. They didn't try to make it something that it's not.
Yeah, want to get Joel hot. You paint the trim like that. That's now you're fighting words there. But you're right. It's kind of like frozen.
Yes, exactly.
In time, like it's wild,
but in a really good way.
Yeah,
like a really
preserved.
Good way. Well, yeah. When we went through it, because Todd's like, "Hey, we've got this project that we want to do," and I'm walking through it, and I'm like, "Well, what am I going to do here?" Because this thing is so beautiful. Why would you want to? I mean, I understand now what needs to be done, but
we're talking about the Polidor House, which is a project that Indiana Landmarks has going and has graciously invited the Measure Twice team into the project to help it go along. So thank you very much for inviting us into that project.
Both directions. Thank you. I'm excited about this.
And we're really, really excited to work on this project and talk about sponsors who want to get involved and help out. We will definitely talk about you.
Yeah.
But this is kind of it's so much closer to a mission than it is a project, that this house is amazing. And so tell us a little bit more about the house, because there are some secrets in the house that are kind of cool. I don't know if I'm calling it secrets is the right word, but for example, the stained glass.
Yeah, the windows are a fun story as well. It has some art glass windows in the dining room, which are very art. I'll call them Art Nouveau. They're very stylistic. They're very unusual, kind of artsy glass. But then in the parlor, which has a fireplace and some great built-ins, it's flanked by a couple of art glass windows. They're not stained glass. And students from Notre Dame figured out that those windows are actually an homage to the Greek flag when you look at it. And once you see it, you're like, oh, yeah, of course it is. How come we didn't see that?
Yeah, when you point it out, it's like oh, my goodness.
There it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So it's those little details that are fun to find, and it makes a great connection to the family. Under the steps, it has the little, I call it the kid hideaway. There's a door under the stairs that has no purpose other than just to let kids hide under there, I think. Storage and whatnot. So, yeah, you just find little things here and there through the house, and it just keeps giving. And this house does have a draw for folks, and people are drawn to it. They watch it. They've watched it. They know it. They want to see it. And that just tells you how special it is. That folks they know it's something. It's in their kind of their being. They know it, and they ask about it, and they're just so excited to see it happening. And we're glad to be working with the team here to bring this to life in the next year.
It's pretty neat now that I think about it. We'll put up pictures of the columns that we're talking about. But think about that picture. That's also an homage to the Greek flag because they're all crosses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty crazy.
One of the things I've not sorted out in my head is how much change the Polidors did versus when Kircher built it. It was built by South Bend's first fire chief in 1913, and the Polidors bought it about 6-7 years later. I'm beginning to believe that Kircher had a good hand in it, but I think Polidors did a major remodel when they bought this house.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's any different, but I do think so.
So when we come back, let's get into some more details about this amazing Polidor house in South Bend. This is Measure Twice. Measure Twice. I'm Rob Perugini, along with Todd Zeiger from Indiana Landmarks. See what I did there? He's in the studio with us right now. Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors, Joel Graber from Graber Customer Modeling, and this is the show that helps you envision your home's potential. You're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC, and we're brought to you in part by Leatherman Supply. Everything windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops with the showroom open in Granger, right next to C. Kramer Interiors. And Hoosier Hardwood Floors, Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. You can visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. Exciting day, lots of exciting announcements. We have special guest Todd Zeiger, like I mentioned before. He's the director of the Northern Regional Office of Indiana Landmarks. And if you've seen a pretty good restoration on an older home in your neighborhood, chances are Todd was behind it, rubbing his hands and laughing maniacally behind the scenes.
Got another one.
I did it. This is mine forever. But there is part of that, right, where you do.
We do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, and we assist a lot of folks. So the restoration you see is being done by someone private, and we applaud that. And a lot of times we've been working behind the scenes and helped in some way, and that's the good part. Let somebody else take the credit, and good for them for doing the restoration, and we're glad to see when they step up and do it.
Let's face it, though, and we'll say this on your behalf. You're proud of it.
It's good to see when somebody does that, absolutely. Yeah.
He's so humble.
I know.
Humble.
He's just to flex it. It's like, well, can't take any. You should take the credit, though, because it's cool.
It's good.
Yep. We'll force the credit on you then. We're talking about the Polidor House, which is a project that Measure Twice is completely behind now. And the idea that we're taking this magnificent home from that was basically, I mean, it wasn't built by the Polidor family, but it was built by the
Kircher was the builder. He was South Bend's first fire chief, lived there for 5 or so years with his wife, and then that's when the Polidors purchased it, and they really are the ones that preserved it over the years. Good for Kircher for building it. We're thankful for that. And but Polidors are really the ones for the 100 years that they owned it and lived in it, preserved it. And the reason that it is so preserved, as we talked about, is because it was owned by one family and literally one guy lived there for 100 years and didn't make changes. It was he just did such an amazing job of maintenance, which is why it was always on our list of like, wow, look at that house. It's just amazing.
They just never let it falter.
He
ever.
just always took really great care of it. And so to them.
Essentially, the plan is to renovate the house up to, modern living as close as you can. You're never going to get totally because it's still an older house, but you're going to get really close.
Well, the thing is when you buy something like that, you don't want it to be the modern house. You want it to be what it is with some of the modern conveniences.
What I'm saying is, like, it's going to have a great kitchen. It's going to have great bathrooms, but it's also going to have the great character. And it's not just an homage to its period. It is its period. You're living in that period-style home.
Yeah, this is not a reproduction.
Exactly. Yeah, this is the
Not
thing.
a reproduction.
Yeah, this is
it's
the
authentic.
thing. But being upgraded so that it's more than comfortable. So when we say the plan is to have it showcased, have it accessible to the public at some point, and to eventually sell the home to somebody that wants to make it their home. That's the plan, right?
Yes, our board will be very appreciative when we sell the house and get our money back. That's always part of the plan, although we don't always get it all back. But yeah, we look forward to opening this up next May. Let folks come through, kind of see it in its restored form, where we're balancing the best of the old and the best of the new, and adding in with Joel and Chris's help modern conveniences that fit and look. And we're already under demolition and opening up spaces to add in a master bath, bedroom, closet, suite. Add a half bath and working on that kitchen space. So the demolition is still underway as we speak. At least it better be. And so, speaking of showing up and causing trouble, yeah. So we hope to be able to bring folks through in about a year.
But if you want to come earlier, become a member of Indiana Landmarks, and you can come through in winter.
Sky.
At the Holiday Walk.
$20 will be there for you next after the show. Thank you.
We didn't really even talk about that.
I'm angling for my next years of membership to be free, which is, it's really inexpensive. It's really like to be a member is
$35, $50, or I stick more, but yeah, it's a very affordable membership, and it's how we pay our bills. We're no different than any other not-for-profit. Our members lead our way, finance our way. We're on our board, and we have about 6,300, 6,400 members around the state, and we're proud of that, and we would encourage folks to join. And
come on, Northern Indiana, you can do better than that.
Well, we should have more than
We're doing a whole doing a whole fundraising show here.
There we go. Yeah, but for our holiday open house in December will be for our members, and that's when the first chance to kind of see the before it's finished with any decoration or furniture or whatever. You'll see the rehabbed, finished version before it gets the interior is done.
We're talking with Todd Zeiger, director of the Northern Regional Office of Indiana Landmarks. And Indiana Landmarks is it's in the name. It's landmarks, right? So become a member. It's not hard.
Absolutely.
To do that. But we're talking about Pellador House. When we walked through the house, one of the things that I was just remarkable were it's got pocket doors.
It does, and they still work.
That still work. Are they from
huge.
The 20s?
They're from the original construction. Yeah, they run like butter. They're so smooth
and giant.
They're huge. They are some of the biggest pocket doors I've dealt with.
How tall are they? What are they? I don't know.
The height isn't the issue. It's the width. They're double width pocket doors. One leaf, like one slab, that slide into the wall. They're phenomenal, and they're in amazing condition.
I'm trying to think. I didn't measure the opening. It's in a big. What is it?
Big.
It's 6 feet? I don't know.
Yeah, it's more than 6.
Yeah. It's at least 6 foot. Yeah, probably.
So you can imagine this giant wood door that you couldn't push down a hallway on its own. It has to. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, and our challenge is maintaining and protecting all of this amazing stuff during construction. So, making sure that they look that nice and don't have to be restored.
It's the first demolition project using padded tools.
Yeah, actually, well, it's very true. We've put down floor protection and whatnot.
You have to, because the floors are another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where do you find floors like this? It's hard to describe the richness of that floor.
Yeah, I mean,
right? How do you describe that?
Your sponsor is great at what they do, and they can bring floors back. It's great when you don't have to sand them and be the patina that's on is what you're referring to, and it's that patina you can't recreate. And so we want to protect that and not have to make it look brand new. Let some of that patina shine through, right? And let it be there in the future. So
Dean from Hoosier Hardwood Floors has requested to sleep one night on the floor. No,
come on down.
I'm just
we
kidding.
have electric now, so he could even have his coffee in the morning.
I can't speak for Dino. But that's right up his alley, man. Right? You know, you go in there and you think, oh wow, this is what everybody's trying to capture.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you lay a new floor or you put down an engineered wood floor, aren't you trying to get to that, like that look? I mean,
engineered floor? No. You're not even in that mindset.
Cannot happen.
Can't happen.
But that's what this house offers. Is like it is the thing. Mm-hmm. It's the after picture, but it was built before all the before pictures. Like it's, the windows.
The patina is what you're referring to. I think it's just the years of use. Good use, not abusive use, that you can just feel that richness, and that's part of what makes it special. And not just this house, but any old house. You just can't recreate that patina, and preserving it during construction is a part of it.
Well, even really just, and we've talked about this a number of times on the show, is like that wood, the wood that is there, you can't recreate that wood. Mm-hmm. The graining patterns and
the old growth.
It's just beautiful, and it's just been preserved so well.
Well, we talk about all the time that the houses from that period, a lot of time the work was done there, whereas houses built now, a lot of time the work is done somewhere else and it's brought in. Mm-hmm. It's like you can tell that a lot of work was done within 15 feet of the foundation of this house.
Yeah, there was a lot more craftsmen that did the work on site.
Also, I just have to bring up a testament to how well preserved this house was. Hanging in the upstairs master bedroom was dry cleaning from the 50s.
Original curtains from the 1945 remodel. We have that newspaper, so we know when it was done. So those curtains were in the closet since 1945. They're brand new. They're still in the package. It's one of those fluky things, you find when you clean out a house.
I was looking at the wrapping label around them.
They haven't even been clean. They're just there. They're hanging on their original hanger. It's like, what the heck is? Oh my gosh!
Thank you so much, Todd Zeiger from Indiana Landmarks, for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Give you constant updates on the Pellador House project, and you can find them posted at the Indiana Landmarks channels and indianalandmarks.org. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. This has been Measure Twice.
Podcasts by Federated Media.